piece is patched. Piece is patched. Not super proud of that. Not my best work, but it'll do. This is all in. Got the bottoms of the pillars patched. This side is done. Got the seat brackets in. So our next step is to take it down to bare metal again. You can see this looks real good right here. It still has some rust on it. So we'll wire wheel it off. So we wire wheeled, we sandblasted, and now we'll wire wheel it one more time, and we'll be back down to clean bare metal. And we'll go ahead and pour 15. So our steps for this are going to be pour 15, which will be our direct metal coat, our tie coat. We're going to brush it on in order to force it into the substrate, into these chips, these grind scratches, the sanding marks. I feel like if I sprayed it, I would bridge over top of a lot of this. So the first coat is going to be a brush coat. After the pour 15, we'll go on to our seam sealer and our bed liners. So we want to cover all bare metal first, and that'll be the pour 15's job. I'm going to work kind of a grid pattern on this. I'm going to work down this side, and then I'm going to start back on that top and work down. And I'm going to remember that for when I do my second coat, so I know what's going to be drying first. Just wanted to show you guys a quick tip for getting back into areas like this and back in here where a brush won't necessarily fit, or where you have a hole that goes back into a panel like this, where you can't necessarily get pour 15 in. The way I was taught this trick is if you get a little bit of pour 15 on your brush and get it in there, and then you take a small amount of air pressure you can really blow it back into the areas that you can't reach. You can do multiple applications this way. The benefits of brushing over spraying is we can really force it into the substrate. Force it into the seams, force it into the welds, and force it into the sanding scratches. Whereas if you were spraying, you'd get a little bit of a bridge tip is to work down. You don't want to start at the bottom of your panel and work up. This way we're chasing our drips down. You can start and you can see I've got some drips going on here. So we're working across and then we'll come back to where our drips are and we'll smooth those out. It'll give us a nice even application. If all I was going to end up doing on this was a coat or two of PART19 and then a top coat of a primer or a paint, I would have scaled back my surface pret to probably an 80 grit, 80 or 120 grit. But since we're doing such high build industrial coatings, we're going to need the extra tooth of the 36 or 24 grit scratching. You notice as we go over these welded seams, ugly welded seams in my opinion, and start building these coats on top of them, they really start losing a lot of their definition. So by the time we're done, they should look really nice. I wanted to mention that if you are doing something like this and you get a spot like this where it doesn't seem to want to grab, let it sit for a couple of minutes, 3 or 4, and then come back and just go over it and it will cover. We've got one good solid coat on. Now according to PART19, recoat time varies from 2 to 6 hours depending on your conditions. So what I'm going to do is wheel this inside and put a couple fans on it. Okay, it's been about 4 hours and we're ready for our next coat. Now, in this coat, I like to add a little bit of sand because it provides that important tooth for the next coat to adhere to. So what I usually do is I mix in 10% by volume, 10% sand by volume. I've had very good luck doing this in the past, so that's what we're going to do here. The main thing is to keep it agitated because the sand will settle to the bottom of your container. So every couple of strokes, make sure that you re-agitate that sand. I never do this on my first coat, ever. I don't want any type of foreign material between my first coat of PART19 and my substrate. Only ever on follow-up coats. By side comparison here. This has sand in it. This is our second coat. This is our first coat 4 hours after application with no sand. You can really see that gloss in there. You can really see what we're working with here for our next coat. Now if you get a spot that looks like it didn't quite get enough sand in it, keep your sand, your dry sand, your raw sand handy. Dip your brush a little bit, just put it on there, brush some on there, but make sure that you go over it very, very well. You want to roll that sand around in your material and make sure it gets coated on all sides. Push it around, steer it around a little bit. Now come back over the top of that with a fresh coat of PART19. Cover it all up. Make sure it's not going anywhere. Glue it down to the substrate. There you go. That wraps it up for us tonight. Okay, again, that's 2 coats of PART19, the second of which we mixed in sand. Clean 30 mesh sand. You can buy it in like 45-pound or 50-pound bags at your local big box store. Mix that in 10% by volume into the PART19. That'll give us something for our next coat to adhere to. Okay, our PART19 is dried overnight, nice and hard, set up. So what we're going to do now is we got to scuff it to get the gloss off, and then we'll seam seal and undercoat.